Hey everyone, welcome back to the Noctilucant channel. Today I'm here to talk about my new record label, Befalling Silence Productions. The idea of creating my own dark ambient record label goes all the way back to 2015 when I first started composing songs for Noctilucant. And as those songs were taking shape and eventually Back to the Mud was becoming a reality, I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this? I guess my initial thought was send it to Cryo Chamber, send it to Cyclic Law, send it to any record label I could think of and hope for the best. Ultimately, I did not do that, of course, and I guess maybe I have some regrets about self-releasing it, but at the same time, the album did just fine as a self-released endeavor, and somehow that album has still remained my absolute most popular album, like, as far as sales are concerned, or, you know, streaming on Spotify and all that kind of stuff, so I guess I did something right. But my regret regarding that album is that it's self-released as opposed to being on a label, and thinking back then, I could have started a label. I could have even just made a fake label and been like, you know, this is my label or whatever, but I don't know. I guess I just wish I had done something like that back then. So, I guess you're probably wondering then, like, what is Befalling Silence Productions about? Well, first and foremost, it is for my music. I mean, I don't know if that'll sound really self-centered or egotistical, but I work hard on my music. I mean, everyone, I hope, works really hard on their music, but I've of course expressed many times about how I don't like digital music. I don't think music is real until it's brought to a tangible form. And obviously those forms can be, you know, a vinyl, a tape, a CD, a CDR, just some sort of physical good, you know. It's not real until then. And I've always said that, like, you know, YouTube and Spotify, it's not going to be around forever. Like, I guarantee you, like, it's not going to be around forever. So if, like, people are sitting there listening to their favorite artists and thinking, oh man, this is great, but I don't need to buy it, well, maybe someday you will, because maybe someday those things won't be around. So it's largely, the idea here is to continue releasing all of my music in a tangible form, doing it a lot more professional, as well as occasionally going back in time and re-releasing my old albums that were basically self-released and were not put out in physical form. For example, my album Amongst the Snow and the Shadows, it's one of my favorite albums that I've done. It never got a physical release, and that will inevitably be a future release I'm going to put out, you know? And as I said, everything's going to be much more professional. I mean, if you follow me on social media, I've made tons of posts about my new album, Deadlier Meat, which I hope you guys check out. It's of course on Bandcamp. You can buy this nice digipack for $9. You can also get the digital version if that's your preference for $5, but obviously you can tell I'm trying to promote physical goods here. But this is the first release. It comes in a digipack. I mean, for me personally, this is the first time my music has been released in just a simple, normal, I guess, factory press digipack. You know, all my other creations were, you know, much more like the Noctilucant releases always come in those sort of like card style packaging. I should have one ready for this. Here's one right here, actually. They always come in this like card style packaging, and while this too is a physical good, it's not like a normal CD packaging, I guess. And that was sort of the thing that always sort of bothered me, was that I never just had a normal CD in a digipack or a jewel case. And you know, it's a personal thing, obviously. I'm sure people that have bought and enjoyed my music don't give a shit or whatever. I mean, I don't know. But that's what I wanted to do, was just sort of, I don't know, I guess treat myself a little bit better, you know, because I really work hard on this stuff, and I just want it to look good, and I want, you know, I hope that this stuff will be on people's CD shelves years to come, you know. I mean, inevitably we're all going to die anyway when the planet overheats, and, you know, but, you know, until then, I hope it's on people's shelves, you know, and that'd be awesome just to know that, like, you know, 10 years from now or something, people have my music. And, you know, there's certainly a lot of people out there that have bought my music. I have what I would call, like, my regulars, you know. I can always depend on those people, and it's just kind of really cool that I have this sort of cult following, so to speak, I guess. It's cool, I guess, because I never expected it. My expectations when I started doing this music was I was going to do one album, it was going to get basically no attention, and I was going to get overly depressed about it, and I was going to say fuck it, and that was going to be the end of it. And then somehow here we are, over 8 years later, and I'm still doing this stuff, and I'm taking it to the next level, I guess. But, speaking of my new album, of course, there's quite a bit that can be said about it. Deadlier Meat is, in a manner of speaking, a re-recording of my 2015 album, or compilation more technically, which was called Dead Meat. Dead Meat was put out sort of just to fill a void, so to speak. I had my Bandcamp page there, I had my Discogs page, and I was like, I wanted to see it grow, I guess. So it was sort of just put out to fill that void, I guess, to see the discography grow. The problem was, of course, is that it was not a good follow-up to Back to the Mud, because it was just songs that predated Back to the Mud, as well as some demo tracks from Back to the Mud. Now, over the years, people have told me that the songs on there are good, and it's interesting hearing the demos, but I gotta be honest, somewhere along the way I began to really hate those songs, because the simple fact was they were never finished. They just weren't. They were sort of just songs that were my initial creations, and they were just kind of put aside, and I was like, because this isn't going to fit in the album conceptually. That was sort of my thought, I guess, and then they were never finished, and they were just thrown on there, and then I was like, I should not have put those out. It was a poor follow-up to Back to the Mud. I should have waited, but you can't change the past. I'm not going to remove it from Spotify. I'm not going to take it off of Bandcamp. It's a part of my musical journey. It's part of my discography, so it is what it is. So I could have just left it at that, but I guess it was maybe 6 months ago I got into finally mastering my own work, and then it was when I was digging into those songs and just kind of, I guess, tuning them up a little bit, so to speak, I was like, well, they're not terrible, but what was terrible was at the production. And as I kind of tuned them up, I was like, well, there was some potential here. I just didn't really know enough about audio production back then. I obviously didn't know anything about mastering back then. So as I kind of was tweaking them around, I was like, well, maybe we can do something with this. So essentially what I ended up doing was I revisited the original master files and just sort of re-recorded some parts, and generally speaking, added a lot of new stuff to make them full and complete songs, and just, sort of made them what I wanted them to be back in 2015, but I just sort of lacked the discipline to make that a reality. So what you have with Deadlier Meat then is the 4 demo tracks from Dead Meat, re-recorded here, and renamed, of course, too, although they bear resemblance to the originals. I didn't want them to have the exact same name, or, put like in parentheses 2024 re-recorded version. I hate when artists do that. I think it's really terrible. And I fully realize that re-recording albums is not like people's preferred approach in music. I mean, think about how many like metal bands have recorded their classic albums, and then like people buy them, they're just like, why did you do this? This was your classic album. It was great as it is. Why do you feel the need to re-record it? So I decided to, do something different. I re-recorded my worst album. And to me, that makes a lot more sense than re-recording my best album. Yeah, at least I think so. I don't know. Your opinion, I guess, more than mine. But that was my thought process when doing it. But what ultimately you have with Deadlier Meat is just, I think, a really, really just fine-tuned and really good, dark ambient, dark electronic album that, I don't know if I even could have created that back in 2015. I'm using the same tools, of course, that I had back then, but it's just, I've grown as a musician, and just, the songs sound great now. I'm really proud of them, and I really hope you check out Deadlier Meat. I think it doesn't, follow the post-apocalyptic storyline, of course, that Noctilucant has become well known for, but it's sort of a sidestep. But I think it'll be interesting recording if you choose to check it out. And as I said, I truly hope you do. $5 for the digital, $9 for the digipack, and I still have box of them here. I got what we got here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 13 left. So, just check it out, I guess. I realize there's a lot of options out there when it comes to, dark ambient music. There's obviously most people gravitate towards cryo chamber, and nothing I can do about that. That's just what people are gonna do. But remember that all small, how should I say this? All big things have humble beginnings, and I'm hopeful for this. I'm hoping that I can put my music out there in this more professional and fancy looking way, I guess, and just eventually I want to start working with artists too, and I think my goal, kind of thinking about that, is as we get to the end of 2024 and going into 2025, I want to do a compilation, and that compilation is just going to be various artists that I'm friends with, in the scene. I mean, I haven't contacted anyone directly. I haven't even come up with a concept for this compilation yet, but this is definitely something I want to do. And then in 2025, I would like to consider the possibilities of working with other artists, just to see what happens. I mean, if I do a run of CDs and I only sell 5 of them, then obviously it's a bad idea, and I'll just go back to what I was doing and just release my own music. But if it's met with success, then who knows? The sky's the limit, I guess, as they say, right? So we'll see what happens. But, I think much like, say someone like Simon Heath, I have the talent to create covers, and I can, do all that kind of stuff too, and do layouts. I mean, like, for example, with this, my new album, it's a photograph I took on the beach a couple of years ago. Me and my wife were going for a walk, and we just saw this mangled seagull on the beach. I mean, there was no blood, there was no body, there was no feathers. It was just this mangled bird, and it's like, holy shit, I had to take photos, and I took plenty, and this was just kind of like the best one out of the bunch. And then originally my concept for this, I was going to try and make it look like some old, like, 1950s, 1960s horror movie poster, but then I just sort of scrapped the idea. The back photo was taken in Salem, Massachusetts back in August of last year, and it's just, I don't know, kind of a cool photo I got at night. Similarly, this photo of me was taken. I was just kind of messing around with shutter speed and stuff like that on my camera. Then you can, although it's not clearly clear, you can see there's another seagull, another shot of the seagull, and then in the tray card I just have the Noctilucant sigil, which of course you've seen many times before. And then a wintry photo I took, I don't know, some years ago. But, yeah, I mean, it's a simple affair. It's just, the first release. It can't be overly extravagant because a lot of risks are taken. Obviously, putting these CDs out is a costly affair. It was, for 25 CDs, it was about, I don't know, I think $175 for the company I went through, plus like $25 to ship the stuff, so it ain't cheap. But, the hope with doing this label is that I just make my money back with each release, I'm basically viewing it as a not-for-profit label, and what that means is any money gained is going to go right back into the label. So if going into the next release, I can, if I have the money is there to do something a little more, even more professional or fancy looking, then so be it. I will do that. But, it all starts with, support from you guys, and, obviously you have to like the music first. I get all that, but I've had a lot of supporters over the years, and I hope it continues to grow, and I'm optimistic about things. I know nothing happens overnight, and you guys should all know that, if you're staring at your Bandcamp pages and only seeing, like, 2 people have bought it, or even 0 people have bought it, don't lose your creative power. I know, like, as artists, we all want to share this stuff with the world, but what you gotta realize is that we're all just putting our energy out there, And it might not be received by everyone, but just put your energy out there, create, and see what happens. It will take time, but if you are dedicated to it and you feel the passion for this, it will happen over time. I hope it does for everyone. That's my hope. I just, there's so much negativity in the world. I'm just trying to help people out and spread the word a little bit more about dark ambient, which is what I've always done with this channel, obviously, but I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be slimming back on like a lot of these, these vlog videos. It's just kind of ran its course with me. I'm gonna be focusing more on this label stuff, more on my music, and just helping my friends in the scene, and just hoping for the best, I guess, for me and everyone, and hoping that the world doesn't start burning or gunfire and tanks and shit doesn't start rolling through the streets a couple of years from now when a civil war breaks out or something. So anyway, enough doom and gloom about that. Anyway, hope you check out Deadlier Meat. I think it's a great release. I think you'll enjoy it. If you enjoyed the original, you'll really enjoy it, but you certainly don't have to hear the original to enjoy it. It's just, I think you'll enjoy it if you're into any sort of dark ambient, dark electronic music. And as far as upcoming releases are concerned, well, the next Glabella Gland album is nearly done, the next Sonic Oscillations album is almost done, and then probably later on in the year I'm going to put the final touches on what would be the 4th House of the Maker album, yeah. And there may even be, if time permits and creativity is running wild, I mean, I may put another album under my solo name, so we'll see what happens. But for sure, I want to get out at least 3 to 4 albums before the year's up, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm driven, I'm feeling it. I've, past 6 to 8 months, I've been really working on my mental health, getting things as they should be. I've been seeing a therapist regularly. I've been feeling great. I've just been feeling really good about life, and just trying to think positive, even though I make this dark and sometimes twisted and uncomfortable music for people. But, we all gotta kind of exercise our inner demons and get it out there some way or another. Doesn't mean we're bad people or we're fucked up people. It's just we gotta put those negative feelings or just that not always good creative forces into something else, and that's why I do music. I mean, I could do music and not share with a single person, but I feel like that would be not the same, so anyway, I could talk more, but you probably already turned this video off. But anyway, thanks for checking out the Noctilucant channel as always, and I will see you next time.